Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt, all demonic thought, all the powers of Mastama that may be round about, all their voices and anything that's within your heart and your mind, and bring them under subjection under your feet. Allow them to be your servants and stamp them under your feet. So that Satan is under your feet. Knowing that through Yahushua Mashiach and his blood that he shed and the life that he lived in the flesh, we no longer live according to that life of the old man. We live according to the new man, renewed in the image and likeness of Yahuwah Elohim. So this yom, we acknowledge the one who made all of the highest, made the highest Shamayim, above all gods and all Elohims and all Shamayim, and all in the Rakia and the firmament, even over the surface of the earth, even over the center of the earth. The one who gives life and understanding to our mental faculties and our spiritual supernatural fire that's in our heart and our mind, that our Manurah our near may continually burn, our 7 near, and our 7 muahs may continually have our near burning, that we may be able to watch not only morning, not only nighttime, Arab, but also in the daytime, knowing that this dark world is full of darkness. We must walk as light in the world, for we are the light of the world. We must be on guard and watch, morning and evening, noon. When we walk by, we lie down, we rise up. So this Yom, as we move forward at the throne of Yahuwah, his Sapir Kisei, his sapphire throne, and we walk according to his light and his understanding and his wisdom and his knowledge and his understanding. Knowing that in between the sons, Yahushua Mashiach was slain and crucified for us. And we are undeserving of any type of life and understanding and any type of enlightenment. But through his infinite wisdom and knowledge and his infinite wisdom and understanding, and through our ignorance and our willful sins, he has allowed us to even see him. To see him just a little bit of him, until we see him as he is in the end. So as we move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, gentleness, self-control, movement, because self-control is what allows one to actually inhabit, the praises of Yahuwah, the halal of Yahuwah. It allows it to pray, allow you to inhabit that in your mind. You no longer walk according to your old self, but your new self. Enjoy. All right, so this is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah 66 and 1. Yeshayahu 66 and 1. It says, thus says Yahuwah, Shamayim is my throne. So he says, Shamayim is my kaseh. So we know his throne is like sapphire, like sapir. It's like sapir. It says, and the Adatz is my footstool. He's just like his footstool. It's like you put your foot, just like you're getting a pedicure and you sitting in a chair and you put your feet in the water. That's the same way he sits on his throne and he puts his feet in the water on earth, right? And he wants everybody to be at his feet. It says, what is the house that you will build for me? He said, where's the bite you're going to build for me? But how you going to build him a house? It says, and what is the place of my rest? All things my hand has made, so these things came to be, declares Yahuwah. But to this one to whom I will look. He said, to this one will I look. Right? See, why he's saying to this one? Right? Because he said to this man, because that word for this man, or he said to this one will I look, is nabat. It means to what? To root. It means that to look intently, to regard, favor, care, to look down on, to regard, behold, and consider. Have respect for it. I'm going to see you. That's what it means. It's see. Right? He's going to see you doing what? Where are you going to see you from? He's going to see you from his highest Shamayim on his throne. And by seeing you from his superior throne with his 7 eyes, he's going to see you. And he said, to this person whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite and trembles at my debar. He said, he that is humble and contrite. That word for contrite is nakeh. It means dejected, lame, depressed, maimed. He said, I'm going to look to you. I'm going to look to you. The one who weeps. The one who is humble and contrite. Right? Poor and ruach. Even him that is ani, poor, needy, humble, lowly, afflicted. That word for he that is humble is poor, ani. It means in mind, depressed in mind. I'm gonna look to you, ani, because you poor and needy, humble. He said, and how you say humble and needy, right? This is book of Matthew Yahoo chapter 5, Matthew chapter 5 and verse 1. Right? Somebody that's lame. That's a weak person. That's somebody in need of something. Right? This book, Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 says, seeing the crowds, he went up to the mountain, the Har, and went and sat. And when he sat down, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth, his paw, and he taught them, saying, right? So what did he teach them? He said, Barak are the poor. So what he was teaching them was his words, his sayings. Right? He said, Barak are the poor in Ruach, for theirs is the kingdom of Shamayim. He said, I'm poor in Ruach. You, the poor, the part I need. He said, to these people I'm going to look. He didn't say everybody that was Barak. He said the poor in Ruach. Then he says, Barak are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. These are the people who are humble and contrite. The people who are of lowly estate. The lame. The people who need them. I need. Because remember, it says, Barak are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. They shall inherit the earth. Why? Because why would I have people on the earth that wasn't of a lowly state that won't be at my feet to serve? Right? And it says, Barak are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Feed me with food that's convenient for me. Don't let me become too full lest I deny you, though. And then it says right here, Barak are the merciful, for they shall find mercy. If you don't have mercy on nobody, why should Yahuwah give you mercy? If you can't forgive people their sins, how you think Yahuwah going to forgive your sins? Barak are the pure in heart, for they shall see Yahuwah. He said, you're going to see him. He said, you're going to be able to understand him. Because he said, no man can come to the Abyb except the Father. Yahuwah draws them. He don't want to open your eyes. And it says, Barak are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of Yahuwah. Right? So he said, Barak are the shalom makers, peace. Amazing when the woman said what? When Yahushua, when he came to wash his feet, he came to the woman came to him and said, he said, because you love much and show much kindness, you see this woman, she ain't stopped doing this. He said, your sins are forgiven. Go in peace. That's what he said. He said, go in shalom. And by him saying go in shalom, that's why he is and he sees Yahuwah. And that's why he went back up to see him. That's the only way he could. He was exemplifying it. And it says right here, it says, Barak are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of Shamayim. This is all a part of it. And this verse says, because you're going to be persecuted. But it says, verse 11 says, Barak are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad. Right? That's what you're supposed to do. He's like, it has said so much stuff. It's like, man, what else can they say? He said, rejoice and be exceedingly glad. Why? For your reward is great in Shamayim. It's great. He's talking about, I'm going to build you a great house at Shalom had with 150,000 men and 3,500 people over it. He said, your reward is great. For they persecuted the Nabi'im who were before you. He said, all these people that they're coming after, these are weak people. People who actually need him. Right? And you think about that, right? This is the book of Joel, Joel chapter 3, 3 and 6. Yahuwah 3 and 6. It says right here, Joel 3 and 6. You have sold the people of Yehuda and Jerusalem to the Greeks in order to remove them far from their own border. Behold, I will stir them up from the place where you have sold them, and I will return your payment on your own head. Right? Why would he say payment? Because they're in debt. You know, if somebody owe you some money, he said, I'm going to return your payment because they did some sin. Because you know the wages of sin is death. Like Yahuwah gives punishment out to the good and the evil. He said, I'm going to give you a payment for them. But that payment is going to be something you probably ain't going to like. It says, and I will return your payment upon your own head, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the people of Yehuda, and they will sell them into the Sabians and to a nation far away, for Yahuwah has spoken. It says, proclaim this among the nations, consecrate for, and it says, for war, stir up the mighty men and women. It says, because, you know, let's see, that word for mighty men, that word for men in Joel chapter 3, Joel chapter 3 and verse 9, right? Joel chapter 3 verse 9, that word for men is, it says, stir up the men, draw near. Yeah, that word for mighty men is gibor. It means powerful, warrior, valiant man, strong. It says giant, mighty. He said, let the men of war draw near and let them come up, right? He said, why? That word for men is anush. Anush. It means what? Hence, a man general, signally, it says unexpressed, it says a man. Right? It's a mortal. Right? But it says right here, going back to ESV, Yahuwah chapter 3 verse 9. Actually 3 verse 10. It said, beat your plowshares into swords, like, because we took care of land. And it says, and pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am a warrior. Why? Because you just went from, you're of a lowly state. When you are farming and doing all these things and in the field, just like Yahushua said, the field is the world, the laborers are few. He said, you're like in a lowly state. He said, let the weak say, I'm a warrior. Right? He said, hasten and come, all surrounding Goim, and gather yourselves there, and bring down your warriors, O Yahuwah. Let the nations stir themselves up and come to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for they will sit to judge all the surrounding nations. Right? So this is all a part of something that's going to happen in the end. It says, put all the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. So when it talks about that, we're talking about a later event. Right? A later event. But you say, you look at the 7 celestial circles here, what are we in? This is a time where one is looking within themselves to do some things, right? He said to do some things, right? So this is the book of Exodus, or Shemuth. The book of Exodus chapter 12, verse 14. Shemuth chapter 12, verse 14. And it says right here, this day shall be to you for a memorial, a zikron, a remembrance to do what? A memorial to do what? To remember what? And you shall keep it as a cog, a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations, right? Throughout your lineages, as a statute forever, a kukah forever. And you shall keep it as a feast, a cog, 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven out of your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened, or chamats, from the first day unto the 7th day, that person shall be cut off from Yashua. What do you mean chamat? We talked about chamats. It means sour and bitter. You eat anything that's sour and bitter, you know how people are sour and bitter in their heart? He said, if you eat that, he said, you're going to be cut off. And these could be words, because you know, lakam is like words. These could be words that people say, sentences that people say, mindsets that people have. All this is all part of leaven. Right? And once these things start entering in your mind, then you become leaven. Because when they start talking and speaking and saying sentences that are not pleasing to your mind and pleasing to this time, or pleasing just to your whole life, then guess what happens? You become leaven. And then that leaven becomes your bread. And then that's going to be your bread for the whole year. Especially if you don't get it out as soon as somebody try to put it in. It's going to rise all the way to Kagsuka. Right? And that's what people have done over the years. People say over the generations, right? But it says right here, that person shall be cut off from Yasharah. Now you see why Yahuwah gets rid of you. Like, I got to cut to get this person out of here. Because you're going to make the whole thing leaven. Just by your sour, bitter mind. And he says right here, and that's why a lot of beliefs can't be believed, because if people have sour and bitter minds. That's why it's hard, right? And it says, that person shall be cut off from Yasharah. On the first day you shall hold a Qahalath assembly. That's this day. And on the 7th day you shall hold a Qahalath assembly. That's the 7th day, right? Notice how everything repeats. Just like the beginning, first day to 7th day, just like this week, first day to 7th day, just like Chag Matsah, 7th day, or Kagsuka, first day to 7th day. It all repeats. 7, 7, 7, 7. So he said, how do I keep leaven out of my mind? Right? We ask ourselves these questions. People are asking, how do I keep this leaven and these things and people speaking things and leaven getting in my heart and my mind, right? And it says right here, no work shall be done on those days. That's the first thing. You got to stop doing so. It ain't just got to be your job, your work. It could be just words you say, thoughts you think, people you talk to, people you associate with, things you got to look for leaven, and it could be turned into leaven. Like, it's a detailed assessment of your life, not only your life and your contacts and people you know. And by doing so, then you'll find yourself removing all the leaven out of your house. It ain't just under your couch. You know how people do it naturally, under your couch, in the corner of your room, or behind your toilet, or underneath the car, or the crumbs in your car. You know, the stuff that people, they get excessive of it, and then they, guess what? They forget about the inward man, and the inward man is all filled full of leaven, and then you know what they do? They bring it to people, and they fill other people's mind with that leaven, and then guess what? Now everybody just like your dirty life, your dirty inward man, and then now nobody can really fix themselves because they ain't got the information because you didn't give it to them. And being they ain't got the knowledge, and now they don't know how to remove the leaven that you put in there for 15 years, or 10 years, or 7 years, or what it may be, and then they got to figure it all out, and then now they got to go through that process all over again, right? And it says right here, they could be man, woman, child, mother, father, sister, brother, who can sow leaven in your mind. It could be husband, wife, children. It can sow leaven in your mind. It could be pastor, teacher, more, pastor, Manurah. They could sow leaven in your mind too. All of them can sow leaven in your mind. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, comments, everything can sow leaven in your mind. Right? So these are all a part of leaven, and this is why one has to remove the leaven out of their life, out of their whatever it may be. Right? Shaul already gave us an assessment. I know I'm talking much, but on what to do when people do certain things and not to eat with them. The reason why he says that is because during the festival, because he don't want that leaven that they have to get inside of you. Especially people who won't actually say that they actually confessed to what they did, like swindlers and extortioners and things. But we're going to get into that. But it says right here, no work shall be done on those days, but what everyone needs to eat. It's like, this ain't no fast. It's like, I need to eat something. I don't want to eat. Now you have some accounts where people have fasted. And, you know, like Daniel, he did it from the first all the way to the 21st day, right? And that's a long time, right? But he did, right? So, but they said what you need to eat. Like if you don't need to eat, you don't need to eat. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if people understand that, right? What you need to eat, right? Because everything you don't need to eat right now. You don't need to eat everything, especially right now, because this ain't the time to be eating everything, right? And this is right here, that alone may be prepared by you. Like, you don't need to be cooking 7-8 course meals with fixings and all that. That's just way too much you got going on right now. Right? That's another reason why Satan possesses people's bodies, right? He jump in your body. You be so full, you be sleep. Next you know, your lamp go out. Your mind got to digest all that food in your stomach because they got to send messages from your axon to your dendrite to your stomach, and your stomach got to digest. If you don't eat no hot water, it ain't going to digest. And you better make sure you eat hot water, and you got to make sure it's stir up. You got to get it hot to get it all out, right? So you can think properly. If you get too much drinking and wine and all that stuff, you get drunk and you end up saying some leaven out of your mouth. He said, and people going to find you out. You know what he said? We going to find you out and be like, man, you got a lot of leaven in there, right? And he said right here, and you shall observe the Chag feast of unleavened bread, Chag Matsah, for on this very day I brought your host out of the land of Mitzrayim. I brought you out. He said, on this day I brought you out. What do you mean brought you out? How he bring us out? We just talked about it yesterday. Yahushua brought us out of Mizraim. He brought us out. He cleansed us from our sin. Like the Pesach lamb brought us out of Mizraim. Right? This is the very day that he brought us out to be separate from the world. That's why he has just like we have a regular Shabbat and we become separate, and it's the same thing. You're just doing it on a day that's a feast day. Right? If you have this same practice and you should have the same Chag mindset when you go to the next Shabbat after this, because it's going to be with Shabbat during the week. It's the same type of Shabbat. And then once the Chag Matsah is over, you do the same thing with the next Shabbat. If you have no leaven in my house, right? No sin, no type of words like this, right? You practicing it. But it says right here, and you shall observe the feast Chag Matsah on this very day. I brought your host out of the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore, you shall observe this day throughout your generations as a statute forever. In the first month, from the 14th day of the month, at evening, you shall eat Chag Matsah, unleavened bread, until the 21st day at evening. Right? So this is all a part of it. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. Right? So 7 days. Right? If anyone eats what is leavened, that person shall be cut off from the congregation of Yasharah, whether he is a sojourner or a native of your land. What do you mean sojourner? That's a stranger, right? That's somebody just roundabout, right? That's somebody just not, he said, somebody that's around you that's probably doing some work or something or anything like that, a stranger, a servant, and then guess what? They don't respect Yahuwah's feet, Chag Matsah. He's like, yeah, no, you can't do that, right? It's all a part of it. Or a native of the land, you shall eat nothing leavened. Right, so they around in your vicinity, they try to bring you some nice fluffy bread and some yeast and some stuff, and they try to feed it to you, or they bring it in and they start eating it in your face. You gotta stop them. Hey, we're not doing that right now. Right? They have to respect you just like you respect. They want respect. Do unto others you have them do unto you. They don't want to do unto you the same way you want them to do unto you. Then you have to let them. Yes, you can't be around here right now. Right? It's all a part of it. In all your dwelling places, you shall eat unleavened bread. Right? So that's everywhere you go. Right? So that's a part of it. Right? But he said you shall eat only thing you should be eating is unleavened bread. So right, this is the book of Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. It says, but the fruits, the pari of the ruach, the spirit, the ruach is love. Aha. It's love. Joy. Shalom. Patience, right? Kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are fruits, right? These are all fruits. And get what it says. Against such there is no Torah, right? There's nothing in the Torah that says you cannot do this. There's nothing in the Torah that says you can't do this. Right? Where? Show it to me. And if you show it to me, and I'll be like, I'm about to question your mind, right? And it says, and those who belong to Mashiach Yahusha have crucified the flesh, with its passions and desires. Now you see why only what you need to eat, right? If we have passions and desires and things that you want, and not only passions and desires that you have to crucify, you have to crucify your passions and desires in all your flesh. Not only that, even in your appetites, in your food, the natural food you eat, even your sexual desires and the things that's in your mind. You gotta literally all the passions inside of you. Because all these things are a part of, that's what's gonna rise up. People say, why? Because everything that Yahuwah wants, he wants it to be a certain way. Right? And it just teaches us something within ourselves. It says, having crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live by the Ruach, let us keep in step with the Ruach, right? We're talking about certain behaviors, right? Let us not become conceited, provoking one another and envying one another. What do you mean envying? Why would he say these are the fruits, right? So this is the book of, there's a reason why. He says, no leaven shall be found in your house, right? So this book of Joshua, Yahusha, the book of Joshua, Yahusha, 5 and 10. Joshua 5 and 10. Yahusha 5 and 10. Yahusha 5 and 10. And it says, while the people of Yasharah were encamped at Gilgal, they kept Pesach on the 14th day of the month. Right, because that's where you're supposed to kill the lamb. Amazing, right? Everything is all right. And it says, and in the evening, it says, the 14th month, in the evening on the plains of Jericho, right? And the day after Pesach, right? So, when you do Pesach? On the 14th day. And then it says, day after Pesach, on that very day, they ate the produce of the land. What do you mean the produce? Fruits. Things that grow. Produce. What the land produces during that time. Wheat, barley, things that come up. Fruits. It says produce of the land, unleavened cakes and parched grain. That was the fruit that produced from the land. If people say, I never grew barley and wheat, then you don't understand when these things start to come. And then these things already be stored for the winter, right? And then you replant the seeds, and then it comes back again. It's always been a practice. Bread has always been the food. Right? People saying, what do you mean? Bread has always, lakam has always been the food. Oil. Right? These are all things you will have stored up in the wintertime. Oil. Herbs, right? And what else? You will have bread and barley. And you have a lot of wine. Right? But this is all a part of his understanding. And it says, and there was no longer manna for the people of Yasharal. He said, there wasn't no Malachi food just appearing out of nowhere. But they ate of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. So when it talks about we supposed to eat no fruit, what do you mean? So we got spiritual food, we got natural food, right? But look at this on a Ruach level, spirit level, Ruach level. So when you look at the Ruach, so you look at Galatians and you see the fruits of the Ruach, that's what you're supposed to be eating. That's what you call unleavened. That's an unleavened life, right? That's an unleavened life, right? That's the type of life that needs to manifest by the Ruach. And he ate that whole year, and that's how you had to do it, a full 364 days. Going back to Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5 and Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. It says, but I say, walk by the Ruach. So look on this on a Ruach level, right? And you shall not gratify the desires of the flesh, right? So we look at the flesh, right? We look at our natural man, our natural desires and wants, right? For the desires of the flesh are against the Ruach. The desires of the leavened is against unleavened. If you get what I was saying. Right? The desires of leaven is against unleavened. It says, for the desires of the flesh are against the Ruach, and the desires of the Ruach are against the flesh. They fight. That's what's going to happen to you during this Chag Matsah if one is not in the right mindset. And it says, against the Ruach, and the desires of the Ruach are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other. Right? So you're gonna be fighting if you ain't got these fruits that we just talked about. You're going to be fighting. Right? To keep you from doing what you want to do. It's going to stop you from doing the things that Yahuwah wants you to do. Right? And guess what it says? But if you are led by the Ruach, you are not under the Torah. Why? Because the Ruach you ain't going to have to doing this. And if you are doing it, then you're going to get, how you say, Yahushua going to say something to you. Right? Just like he told Kaf, when he was telling him what he ain't gonna do and all this stuff, right? You ask Peter, if Peter was here, he would tell you. Right? He gonna end up saying something to you. And get what he says. Now the works of the flesh, the basar, are evident. Sexual immorality, that's fornication and adultery. That's intercourse with outside of marriage. Like, so when it's talking about your flesh, it's talking about intercourse outside of marriage. And if you married, that's different. But if you intercourse outside of marriage and what? Outside of marriage and fornication, that's just sleeping around, like Eli's sons. Remember what they do? Remember what they did in the book of Samuel? They lay with the women at the tent meeting while they were married. They were committing adultery. Were they not? They were married. And his wife was pregnant. Right? All at the same time. Right? These are all the works of the flesh. And amazingly, during those mu'ah, you see all these things building up, and everybody knew about it too. And they were supposed to be watchmen. Right? He said we supposed to be watching, but none of them said anything. They 7-eyed. Why 7-eyed lit? But they knew everybody knew what everybody else was doing though. And here we go. This is, yeah. So he said it says right here. Now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual morality, impurity. Right. So we talk about impurity, being impure when you offering something to Yahuwah. It says sensuality. Right? That could be women on things that we see impure, that touching the dead body, doing things like that, dead animals, stuff like that. Sensuality. It's a broad subject. Idolatry. Because we ain't gonna worship no idols. I would never worship an idol. Right, that's what they say. Sorcery. So that's just to use that against other people. That's the only reason I'm gonna get all these powers. That's the only reason you got them powers is to manipulate, control somebody's mind, do something, try to manipulate somebody into something. If you find yourself in that situation, just understand you got a shadim on the inside of your body. You ain't supposed to be there. You got powers of mastama is on you. And he say, if you got any of these things going on in you, you got the powers of mastama in your heart. You got his demons and his legions in your mind. It says impurity, sensuality, right? Sensual word, idolatry, sorcery, enmity. That means you fighting all the time. Strife, fight. These are all things that go opposite. Jealousy. Can't even have no jealousy. This is all leavened. This is all the leaven. So if somebody come to you, start talking, and they jealous, and they start talking about somebody, it's all because of jealousy. Like, yeah, that person over there, yeah, he over here think, yeah, that's all leaven. That's what you call jealousy. You can't be jealous toward a woman, a mother, father. You can't be jealous toward anybody. A rival wife, right? That he say. All that stuff that people do. He said you can't have it. Fits of anger, you can't even have a fit of anger. Like, I gotta be fit. I got a fit. You just get a fit of anger. That's gonna allow Mastama to come in your heart. And Al-Salbi and Abumelech and all these gods and all these other beings. And it said right here, we're gonna get through this. It says jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries. Two separate clans and tribes or whatever it may be, ministries or whatever it may be, they fighting. You ain't supposed to have you ain't supposed to go on YouTube and make a video during Pesach. You know that you over there at that other place or you over there. That's all rivalries. You ain't gonna get no. He said right here, you don't want you even around. He said, please don't come around. It's a dissension. That's another form of rivalries, but dissension is more like a irritation. I'm irritated in your mind of what somebody else did or said about you, right? And it says what? Divisions, right? I'm divided. Because he said, you have to be one. But it says divisions. That means somebody divided against one. A house divided against itself. One part this, one part want to be here, one part don't. One part want to be with each other, one part don't, right? That's all division. You got divisions in your mind too. And it said right here, divisions, and it says envy, right? So envy, right? That's envying what people have. They show up, pull up in the nice ride, or you pull up in some nice clothes, or they get some money. Say money start going up because it's springtime. The investments start going up. Envy, right? All that's gonna come. It's the truth though. Then you got drunkenness, right? That's self-control. If you get too drunk, you get drunkenness. That means you're lacking something. You're eating in excess in dainty things, and you bring sicknesses to your body, and you're gonna start saying things out of your mouth when you're drunk that is leaven to other people, and you may create leaven in them, and then now you know what you do? Now you're gonna run and hide like you ain't do nothing. You be like, I woke up from my drunkenness, and you're gonna be like, you're gonna be like Nuah. Are you gonna be like Nuah? I knew what I did, or you gonna be like, I don't know, right, from your drunkenness. Orgies. He say orgies. Why would you have an orgy around this time? Orgies. An orgy ain't just gotta be sexual. An orgy just be a bunch of people getting together talking about somebody. That could be an orgy too. And it says, and things like these, he said, it has a multiple things, and that's for one to discern between oneself. He says, I warn you, and I warned you before, that they who do such things will not inherit the malkuth of Elohim. He said, you will not get into the kingdom. Yahuwah is not going to bring you into his Chag Matsah when he eats in the kingdom anew. He said, I will not drink of the wine again until I eat it in my malkuth. You think he's going to do that when he come back here, when you go to the feast? He said, you're not coming into my place. Remember, we had 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. And then 5 had to go buy oil, and the other ones were ready to go in, but their lamp went out. Right? This is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms. So the book of Psalms. Let's see, let's go to the book of Job. The book of Aydah, chapter 21, verse 1. The book of Job, Aydah, chapter 21, verse 1. It says, then Job answered and said, keep listening to my words and let it be your comfort. Bear with me and I will speak. And after I have spoken, mock on. Right? That's what he said. That's what they did to Yahushua. He said, after I spoke, he said, mock on. As for me, my complaint is against man, Adam. Why should not be impatient? Look at me and be appalled and lay your hand over your mouth. When I remember, I am dismayed and shuddering seizes my flesh. Impatient. He said, it's shuddering seizes my flesh. And what he says, why do the wicked live? Right? So now he in dilemma in his mind, because he got leaven in his mind. Right? So you looking at he said, why should I not be impatient? Patience is a part of the fruits of the Ruach. But he's losing patience, and he's like, why should I be impatient? Right? Because in himself, he's wrestling with himself. He says right here, why do the wicked live, reach old, and grow mighty in power? Why? Because you know why he's doing this? Because he's envying and jealousy what they're doing and how much they got and what they're doing. So he's envying and jealousy over what they're doing and what they have. And by doing so, it's opening himself up to other things. Because you're worried about what they have and not being content with what you have. Right? And it says, why do the wicked live and reach old and grow mighty in power? Their offspring are established in their presence and their descendants before their eyes. He's like, man, look at this. I'm jealous and envious. In his mind. It says, their houses are safe from fear, and no rod of Yahuwah is upon them. You know, the rod of Yahuwah is the bar. He said, if you beat your child with a rod, he shall not die, but you should deliver his soul from Sheol. He said, my parents are strict. You know how Yahuwah is? That's what Yahuwah is. He said, my parents are strict. But these people get to do everything they want to do. And he says, their bull breeds without fail, their cows calves and does not miscarry. They send out their little children like a flock, and their children dance. He's like, everybody can do this. Now, guess what? You know why one won't be able to dance, and you know why one won't be able to have so many miscarriages and things within their life? It's because they got leaven in their heart. That's what they have. They sing to the tambourine and the lyre and rejoice in the sound of the pipe, right? And you know what it says? They spend their days in prosperity, and in peace they go down to Sheol. He's like, man, they go down to peace. The wicked get to do that. Nothing troubling them, right? But he says, they say to Elohim, depart from us. Like, man, get out of our faith. We don't want to come hear your God, your Elohim, right? We do not desire the knowledge of your ways. Right? Isn't that what you see today? He said, what is the Almighty that we should serve him? He said, what is that? Look at your life. Look at my life. My life. Look at my life. My life. You see, look how much I got. Look at your life. Right? And then that's what they say. And what profit do we get if we pray to him? He said, what profit we get? Look what y'all get. Look all the profits we got. Behold, is not their prosperity in their hand? The counsel of the wicked is far from me. You get what he said? How often is that? Is it to that the lamp of the wicked is put out? It says that their calamity come upon them, that Elohim distributes pains in his anger. That they are like straw before the wind, and like chaff that the storm carries. You say, Elohim stores up their iniquity for their children. Let him pay it out to them, that they may know it. Let their own eyes see their destruction, and let them drink the wrath of the Almighty. For who do they care For what do they care for their houses after them, when the number of their mouths is cut off? Will any teach Yahuwah knowledge, seeing that he judges those who are on high? So you look at all that. The only reason I went there is because this is Proverbs chapter 13, mostly Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 5. Mostly Proverbs chapter 13, verse 5. It says, the righteous hates falsehood. That's pretending people. Right? Falsehood is everything you see in the works of the flesh. That is leaven. And it says, but the wicked bring shame and dishonor. Righteousness guards his way. Righteousness guards him whose way is blameless, but sin overthrows the wicked. One pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Right? The ransom of the man's life is his wealth, but a poor man hears no threat. He said he don't even hear no threat. That's why Yahushua ain't say nothing when they were accusing him. But it said right here, the light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Right? That's why when we look at our 7 near and our 7 lamps, we look at our fruits. And when our fruits, when we get to the 7, how you say the 7 fruit, right? Go to Galatians chapter 5. We're going to get out of that verse eventually. But Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22, it says, but the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, right? That's faithfulness is the 7th. Right? Faithfulness, right? Faithfulness, and then go what? Gentleness is 8. Self-control is 9. Right? But we look at all these attributes and we say, oh, all my lamps are burning, all 7 of them, and I have gentleness and self-control. Think about if you had no gentleness and you at the feet of Yahuwah and you washing his feet, and you think about it, right? All these are a part of servitude, right? All that's a part of servitude, right? So this is the book of, right? So this is the book of Odes of Solomon, Ode Shalom, Odes of Solomon, 22. Odes of Solomon 22 and verse 1. Ode Shalom 22 and 1. It says, he who caused me to descend from on high and to ascend from the regions below. Right? And it says, and he who gathers what is in the middle and throws them to me. He who scatters my enemies and my adversaries. He who gave me authority over chains, so that I might loosen them. He who overthrew by my hands the dragon with 7 heads. He said he overthrew what? He overthrew by my hands the dragon with 7 heads. He said, I saw in the book of Revelation, I saw a scarlet-colored beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Right? But it said right here, and place me at his roots that I might destroy his seed. What do you mean place him at his roots? That I might destroy his seed. At the bottom, at the feet. He's at the bottom. That's the only way you're going to destroy it. How are you going to destroy Satan in you? Why do you think Yahushua was at the bottom? Why do you think he was like the serpent at the bottom? Why he tells us to be at his feet? Because he was at the bottom. He was at the roots. He got to the root of the problem. Why do you think he was 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth? He was at the roots. It's like a tree that's planted, a seed is planted, and it bears roots at the bottom and springs all the way up to the highest Shemaim. He was literally in the bottom of the earth. And you know why he gets to the roots? Because that's where the fruits start to bear. If you don't get to the root, then guess what? Your fruits are gonna be manifest. And it said right here, that I might destroy his seed. You were there and helped me, and in every place your name surrounded me. Your right hand destroyed the evil poison, right? Because he had poison on the inside. He gave me poison from my food. And guess what it says? And your hand leveled the way for those who believed in you. He said it leveled it out. He said he did all this with his right hand. And it chose them from the graves and separated them from the dead ones. He chose them from the grave and he separated them from the dead ones. Right? And then it says, it said, it took dead bones and covered them with flesh. But they were motionless, so it gave them energy for life. Incorruptible was your ways, and your face you have brought your world to corruption, that everything might be broken and renewed. He said everything. Verse 12, it says, and the foundation of everything is your rock. It says, and upon it you shall build your kingdom. What did he say? And the foundation of everything is your rock. And upon it you shall build your malkut. Well, how you going to build something? Same thing with Kaf. He said, how are we going to build? I'm going to this man when I look. He moved a poor and contrite ruach, who trembles at my debar, who's oppressed, lowly, and needy, who need me. And he said, I'm gonna build on the rock. And this is what it says. And upon this I will build your kingdom, and it became the dwelling place of your Qahalath ones. He said, and it became the dwelling place of your Qahalath ones, right? And people say, why is he doing this? Right? So this is the book of Matthew. It's the book of Matthew. It's the book of Matthew. Matthew-yahu, right? Matthew-yahu, right? Matthew-yahu, chapter 16, verse 13. 16:13. It says, now when Yahushua came into the disciples of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? Son of Adam is. They said, some say Yahuchanan the Immerser. Others say Eliyahu, and others Yirmiyahu, or one of the Nabi'im. He said to them, but who do you say that I am? Kaf replied, you are the Mashiach, the son of the living Elohim. And Yahushua answered him, Barak are you, Kaf? For flesh and blood has not revealed this to you. Right? So this ain't got nothing to do with your flesh, Ruach. But my Father who's in Shamayim, and I tell you, you are Kaf. Because his name, Kaf, means rock. It says, on this rock, I will build my kingdom. My malkut. I will build my kingdom. Like, when you build a kingdom, it's different from what the word they got in there. I'm gonna build a kingdom. Like, that's a difference. That is a difference. I'm gonna build a malkut, a kingdom. And guess what? And the gates of Sheol shall not prevail against it. A kingdom. A empire. A malkut. And get what it says? And I will give you the keys to the malkut of Shamayim. Think about that. I'm going to give you the keys to the kingdom of Shamayim. And get what he said? And what you bind on earth shall be bound in Shamayim. So whatever you do on earth, it shall be done in the Shamayim. And whatever you loose on the earth shall be loosed in Shamayim. So he just literally said, Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. What ba'ith, what kingdom, what palace will you build for me? What kingdom will you make for me? Then he strictly charged the disciples to do what? Because he just said this. Tell no one that he was Mashiach. He said, don't even tell nobody. He literally just said that. He literally just said that. He said, what does that all that mean? Right? How does this even work? Right, so this is the book of Ecclesiastes, Qahalath, chapter 12, verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1, Qahalath. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. It says, remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. What do you mean pleasure? The pleasures of this life. He said, remember in the days of your youth, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened and the clouds return after the rain. Right? He said, before all of that, before the sun and the moon be darkened, before everything goes back to reverse, you know, like you go from 6th day to the 5th day, you count down. 6, 5, 4. Now 4 is left. No more sun, moon, and stars. 3, plants are gone. 2, Shamayim and earth, he's put an expanse, is gone. 1. And he said, I have no pleasure in them before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened and the clouds return after the rain. In that day, the keepers of the bite, the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the window are dimmed, and the doors on the streets are shut. When the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of a song are brought low. They are afraid also of what is high, and the terrors are in the way. Why you should be afraid of what's on the throne? What's high? Because a higher official above another higher official. Now you sit at the feet of his sapphire throne. The almond, guess what it says? They are afraid also of what is high, and their terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms. What time is this? He said the almond tree blossoms. You know, the almonds with the white flowers and the pink in there and all that stuff. He said all this stuff, the almond tree blossoms. The grasshopper drags itself along. And the desires fail because man is going to his eternal home. Everything's stopping. You know how he said? He said everything going to eternal home. And the mourners go about the streets before the silver cord is snapped, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the ruach returns to Yahuwah who gave it. He said all that stuff is going to stop. You know, the golden bowls, the almond blossom knowledge, you know, that stuff you learn, and all the things, the eternal home, the mourners, people dancing, all that stuff is going to be gone. He said, remember the Creator in the days of your youth. He said, remember in the days of your youth, when you can do all these things, your life will pass away. And he says, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the ruach returns to Yahuwah, he gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all vanities, right? Why? What's going to happen? Besides being wise, the preacher, the teacher, also taught the Qahalath, right? The word for preacher, Qahalath, also taught the people knowledge, weighing and studying and arranging many proverbs with great care. The Qahalath sought, he said, the preacher sought to find many fine words of delight, right? Right, the word Ecclesiastes chapter 12, these terms out here. Right, Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, the word for preacher is Qahalath. It is a Qahalath. It says, and here it says a lecturer, right? Preaching, preacher, a plume, Qahalath. It also says female assembler. Right, it says that. And it says right here, the Qahalath sought to find words of delight, and uprightly the words of truth. The words of the wise are like goads, and like nails firmly fixed are collected, saying, they are given to one shepherd. He said, nails given to one shepherd. Who's that? Yahushua, who nailed in his hands. And he says, and what he said, my son, beware of anything beyond these, of making many books, there is no end. He said, you can make as many books as you want. And much study is weariness to the flesh, right? So that word for weariness, because people repeat these things, right? People repeat these things. And it says, much study is weariness. The word for weariness is Yegia. Yegia. It's fatigue. It brings fatigue to your body. Yagia. Right? It fatigues you. It's true though. I ain't gonna say a lot. You be like, I studied all day. I said, that wear you out. It fatigues you, don't it? And then people's like, nah, it don't fatigue me. I say, you must have never did it before then. That's why you must have never did it before. If you did it, you understand what I said. Most people who done it, they understand what I just said. Everybody else, they don't understand it, right? Because you know that word for study is la'ah. It means intense mental study. Eager, intense mental study. Laha. That's what it means. That means that person making the money books, there is an intense mental study makes you fatigued of the flesh, of your basar. Your flesh gets very fatigued right after you do all of it. And then after you do all of that, it's not telling you not to do it now. It's just saying after you do it, make sure you remember the days of your Creator in youth. Why? Because the end of the matter, all has been heard, right? Because all the stuff you studying and things that's making you fatigue in your mind. He said everything has already been heard, though. You get what it says? Fear Yahuwah and keep His commandments, because that's what you're gonna be studying. Because everybody in there, some way, form, or fashion, did not keep Yahuwah's commandments, even the disciples, right? People say, nah, that's not true. I say, go read it, and you'll see. Oh, they just didn't do it. Had they done it, we wouldn't have all these books and stuff trying to figure out what they didn't do. Right? If everybody was just obedient, you think it would be all these books of people's mistakes? It said, for this is the whole duty of man, right? That word for man is Adam. This is the whole duty of Adam. This ain't never changed. Like people say, oh, this just stopped. No, this is the whole duty of Adam. As above, so below. Yahuwah is sitting on his throne as in Shamayim on earth. He said, this is the whole duty of Adam. For Elohim will bring every deed into judgment. So that's every single thing you do. So that's every single thing. That word, he said, every deed, every secret thing in judgment. Right? And then guess what that word is for secret thing? That word, when he says, I will bring every deed, that word for deed is alam. It means to veil. Anything you try to cover, conceal. It says what? Your ways, hide, every secret thing. Right? And it's spelled with an ayin. Not with a, right? It's spelled with an ayin. Ayin lamet mim. Because you know you got to see it. And he going to see you. That's what he going to see you with his 7 eyes. He going to see us. And people say, yeah, he going to judge every secret thing. Here we go. He said, and I'm going to judge every deed into judgment. Bring every deed into judgment with everything, whether good or evil. Whether good or evil. Because he understands good and evil. Right? And that's going to be a part of his judgment. Right? So we're going to the book of... we're going to the book of Psalms 49. Psalms 49 and 5. Psalms 49 and 5 says, why should I fear in times of trouble when the iniquity of those who cheat me surround me? Right? He said, everything that cheat me. He always says, those who trust in their wealth and boast in the abundance of their riches, truly no man can ransom another or give to Yahuwah a price for his life. He said, what? Nobody can do that. For the ransom of their life is costly and can never suffice, that he should live on forever and never see the pit. He said, everybody gonna see the pit. But he said right here, for he sees that even the wise die. The fool and the stupid alike must perish and leave their wealth to others. He said, everybody gonna do that. Their graves are their homes forever, their dwelling places to all generations, though they called lands by their own names. Man in his pomp will not remain. He is like a beast that perish. This is the path of those who have foolish confidence. Yet after them, people approve their boast. Remember we talked about that? You know what Kaf had? and the disciples and everybody they had foolish confidence. Yeah, Yahushua, we're going to go with you. We're going to die with you. We're going to go to prison with you. They had foolish confidence. And they approved of the boast too. And you know what happened? Not of works any man should boast. You say you think you did something, right? Like sheep, they are appointed for Sheol. Like everybody. Why do you think Yahushua went to Sheol? He went 3 days and 3 nights. Everybody going. He says, death shall be to their shepherd. What do you think happened to Yahushua? This has been fulfilled, that smite the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. And the upright shall rule over them in the morning. What do you think Yahushua, why do you think he rose on the 3rd day? And we didn't even get there yet. We only on the first day of Chag Matsah. We didn't even get there yet. But he said he rose early in the morning. Right? It says, their form shall be consumed in Sheol and no place to dwell. But Yahuwah will ransom my soul. See? He gonna pay for you to get you out. He gonna get you out. People say, what do you mean? When Yahushua come to Sheol, when he come to the other realm to come get you out, when he come back, the first resurrection, you gonna be like, Master. He gonna be like, yeah, I know you. Yeah, such and such. Well, man, how you doing? You ready to get up out of here? You know how it is. You know, you see people in prison and they be hoping, make a phone call. One phone call, I'll be out of here tonight, right? And he'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna make a phone call. I'm gonna get out of here tonight. And suddenly he show up. Yeah, man, I remember you, man. Yeah, come on out of there, right? And that's how it's gonna be. But then the others, he's gonna be like, Master, man, remember me? I cast out demons in your name. Did many marvelous works. Did all these things. He can be like, I don't know you. Who are you again? That's how he's gonna be. Who are you again? Oh, I don't know you, man. I don't remember you. I think I remember you. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't have no records of you, right? And it said right here, their form shall be consumed in Sheol and no place to dwell, but Yahuwah will ransom my soul from the power of Sheol. Huh? Cause let me see, you got enough money to get you out of Sheol? You know, when you go to the grave, you got enough money to get you out? No, you don't. You don't got enough wealth to get you out of there. There's only one person to get you out of there. And it says right here, from the power of Sheol, he will receive me. He said, I'm gonna receive you. How you gonna receive you? What's the word for receive in the alphabet? The 10th letter of the alphabet. He's going to receive you with his right hand, his open right hand. And you know what he's coming for? His 7 eyes. Oh, you mean the 7 stars. Oh, yeah, he who holds the 7 stars in the right hand. So if your 7 eyes are lit like the 7 stars of the Shamayim, and he holds it in his right hand, guess what he's coming to get? You. When your 7 near are burning, your fruits, he's coming to get you. He's going to grab you by your right hand and he's going to pull you out. He's going to grab you by the hand and take you out. But he said, be not afraid when man becomes rich, when his glory of his house increases. Job was like, you see what Abyb said, right? Because he lost everything. After you lose it, and then you start to say things, you start complaining. And then Shaul said, I know how to be hungry, full, brought low, high. In whatsoever state, be content. This keeps me away from Satan getting in my mind. That's the only reason he said that. Because if I think any other way, then Satan gonna get in my mind. So therefore, I learned how to be hungry, full, high, low, abased, and whatsoever state be content, because that keeps Satan out of his mind from taking over his body. And when the kabod of his house increases, for when he dies, he will carry nothing away, for his kabod will not go down after him. For while he lives, he counts himself Barak, and though he gets praise when you do well for yourself, his soul will go to the generation of his fathers, who will never see light again. The only way, after you go there, the only person that's going to give you light, or unless Yahushua Mashiach is a tabernacle. He said, when you come, he comes to sukkah with you. He said, you going to be in darkness? He said, yeah. That's why you're going to need your 7 eyes burning. So, you know, when the sun go down, you can see the 7 stars in the Shamayim. He said he holds the 7 stars in the Shamayim. So when you go to darkness and you go down to the earth, go down to the Sheol, your 7 lamps gonna be burning. Your near gonna be burning, and he gonna see you. And you know what you respond to? How do you keep your lamp burning? You're gonna hear his voice. You're gonna hear his word, his oil. And guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna hear him. That's what kept your lamp burning when you was alive. His debar kept me alive. It kept my lamp burning when I was alive. It's gonna keep you alive when you're in Sheol. It's gonna bring you out of Sheol. Because he's gonna see you, just like the 7 stars in the Shaman. It says, man in his pomp, yet without understanding, is like a beast that perishes. He says, so how I keep my lamps burning? Right, this is the book of, he said, how do I keep my lamps burning? Right? Because that's what people want to know, right? He said, how do I do this? Right, this is the book of Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. Then Cobb came up and said to him, Master, how often will my brother sin against me? My brother or sister, husband and wife, mother and father, pastor, teacher, Nabi, Yah. Right? How often will they sin against me? Right? People say, what? Son, daughter. He says, how often will my brother, sister sin against me, and I forgive him? He said, this is how you keep your lamp burning. As many as 7 times? Because he's talking about his near. He's talking about his 7 Manurah. He's saying many as 7 times. You know who talking again? Oh, you talking about the guy with the keys? You know, Qahalath, who gonna build his kingdom? He said, oh, I got the keys. And then he said 7 times. Yahushua said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. Huh? But 77 times. What's 7 times 7? 49. What happens after every 7 years? Jubilee. You release people of their debt. He's like 70 times 7. He's like, man, look at here. He like, you know how many times you got? This is how you keep your lamp burning. People say, how you keeping it? You notice this lamp burning talk right here. This is near talk. You know how people say? Man, they speak it in code. This is all near talk. This ain't talking about 7 times, right? Trying to count your money, right? He talking spiritual talk. He talking about 7. He talking about the Manurah. He talking about Manurah talk. He says, I do not say 7 times, right? But 70 times 7. He says, but 77 times, right? That's a lot. Therefore the kingdom, therefore the church. Like Yahuwah said, I'm gonna build a kingdom. Kingdom, you know how big a kingdom is? The kingdom of Shamayim may be compared to a king, right? Yahuwah ain't, what type of place you think a Malkuth? He said, all these places you got out here. He's like, hold up, I'm building a kingdom. It says, he says, the kingdom, therefore the Malkuth of Shamayim, the kingdom of Shamayim may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his servants. So he talking to the man who got the key. I got the access point. When he began to settle, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. Well, you owe me $10,000, right? 10,000 denarii, 10,000 shekels, right? And since he could not pay, his master ordered him to be sold. Isn't that what happened to the woman with Aydah? Remember when the woman with Aydah, and she came and she had no oil, she had nothing left, and she said, dig in there and get some oil in there. And he said right here, wife and the children and all he had, and payment to be made. So the servant fell on his knees, imploring him, have patience with me, and I will pay you everything. He said, have patience. What's that? One of the fruits of rule. And out of pity, right, for him, the master of the servant released him and forgave him his debt. Isn't that what Yahushua did? He said, he looked for pity. I ain't find nobody to forgive me my debt. And you know what happened? They were saying, crucify even more. I ain't find nobody to forgive me my debt. But when the same servant went out, after Yahushua done forgave you and forgive you your debt, even though you ain't showing pity, you don't even deserve it. You got to sit down and watch him, and he darkened it a clear day, and he found you watching in the second watch, and he baraked you, and all this, and you don't deserve it. Guess what he did? But when that same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii, and seizing him, he began to choke him, saying, "Pay what you owe." He said the whole earth was filled with violence, just like it was in the beginning. Because every imagination and thought was evil continued. And yes, and guess what this is? This is leaven right here. This is leaven. You began to choke the man and everything. And guess what he said? You know why he choking the man? Because of the who chokes the word when it gets inside of your mind? Satan chokes the word, and the cares of his life choke the word. That's why when Yahushua, he came to Yahushua, that's why Shaul said, whatever said, I'll be content. That's why when Satan came to Yahushua, he's like, just bow down and worship me. And I'll give you all this. Because the cares of life will choke the word. And get what he said. And he get what he said. He denied and seizing him, he choked him and saying, "Pay what you owe." So his fellow servant fell down and pleaded with him. So he fell at his feet. Just like Yahushua said, you be at people's feet. He fell at his feet. Just like you fall at the sapphire throne feet. And you be asking for mercy and pleading with Yahuwah. And get what he said. "Have patience with me and I will pay you." He refused and went and put him in prison until he should pay the debt. He put him in prison. How you going to pay the debt in prison? Isn't that what they do today? How you going to pay the debt? You got to have somebody outside of the prison to pay the debt. Don't you? You got to have somebody outside the prison to come and pay the debt, the bond, to get you out of prison. That's the only way you're going to get out. So who gonna ransom a man's soul from Sheol, from the pit? Who gonna do that? And it says, when his fellow servants saw what had taken place, they were greatly distressed. Right? So everybody else was like, man, we distressed. He in prison. Man, such and such in prison. What happened to him? Such and such in jail. Right? And they went and reported to their master all that had taken place. He's like, man, what happened? We had a fellow servant came and threw another servant into the prison because he owed him some money. And now he all over the place. Because we are bought in the garden, iron by dollars. Just like garden. And we got to see it. Our 7 eyes got to be open. We were talking about near talk with Qahalath, and was talking about near talk. He was talking about Manurah talk when he was talking to Yahushua. 7 times? No, 70 times. That's Manurah talk. We're trying to keep our fruits burning, our fruits producing. So he's literally talking about near. And guess what he said? And all that has taken place. Then his master summoned him and said to him, You wicked servant. He said the lamp of the wicked gonna be put out. Isn't what he just read? He's like, you wicked servant. The lamp of the wicked gonna be put out. What do you think Yahushua's saying right now? He said, how Yahushua able to talk like this and be able to do this so fast? He said, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. You know what we do to Yahuwah? We build a sapphire phone, we fall on the ground. Yahuwah, please. And now here you are a servant that got me forgiven, and you throw somebody in prison. And then you say, who gonna ransom your soul out of prison? Who gonna get you out of prison when you do this? And get what he said. And you get what he said. I forgave you the debts. You plead with me. And should not you have mercy on your fellow servant? And as I have mercy on you, how many times I need to forgive my brother? 7 times? 70 times. Huh? 77 times. What? 7 times, but 77 times. Huh? So you telling me? And if you don't do it, let's see what happens. You wicked servant, I forgave you all the debt because you plead with me. And should not you have mercy on your fellow servant? as I have mercy on you. He's like, should you not have mercy on your fellow servant too, as I have mercy on you? And he says, because this could be male and female. He said, oh, I got a servant. I'm a servant, male, female. I wash people's feet too. I do that. And he's like, no. That woman that was on the ground, who got her sins forgiven, she was weeping, and Yahusha forgave her sins. He said, you showed much kindness and love, and guess what? You had all these fruits burning. He said, you know what? I'm not going to forget. He said, should you not? And I forgave you your sins on the ground, and you were on the ground crying with your tears, wiping my feet with your hair, anointing my head. And I did all this, and then now a situation come where you got to forgive people their sins and let them go in peace. And get what he said? Then the master summoned him and said to him, you wicked servant, I forgave you all your debt because you pleaded with me. And should not you have had mercy on your fellow servant as I had mercy on you? And in anger, his master delivered him to the jailer. So he said, as you have done to him, I'm going to do to you. And amazingly, now you got two people in jail because of one person. He said, I'm in jail now too because of what? I put somebody else in prison, so now I'm in prison. And he says, and in the anger, his master delivered him over to the jail until he should pay all his debt, until you should pay. What was the debt he had to pay? He just had to show, the debt he has to pay is to show mercy and compassion and say, you forgiven all your debt to the person he threw in prison. That's how he gonna pay his debt. I don't want to press any more charges. He doesn't have to pay me the money back. It's a jubilee, just like it says in the Torah. It's after 7 years. I shouldn't be holding this. He can go free. That's the debt you got to pay. And it's just words out of your mouth. And not pretending. That's it. You think about that. All I got to do is say things out of my mouth and not pretend. And he forgive him his debt. And I get out of prison. And you know the sad part about that? That's the hardest thing for human beings to do. He said, you ain't never been in a situation like that? He said, if you ain't, you're gonna meet a situation like that. Because all these are a part of it. And it says right here, so also my heavenly Father will do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother or sister from the heart. And if you don't do it before you die, and you go to prison, and you go to the pit, and when he come to ransom your life, you know how you pay the bail money to get you out? And try to get you out of prison, just like we just read, the ransom of your soul is costly. He not gonna pay the bail. You're gonna be like, Master, remember? I prophesied in your name, did all these things in your name, many wonders and works and everything. And the only thing he gonna say to you, who are you again? I don't know you. I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, you wicked servant. Right? And he said that's near talk. That's what you call Manurah talk. Right? Going to how he said how we keep our lamps burning. How we keep our fruits. How we keep our fruits manifesting. Right? How do we keep ourselves manifesting? Like they say, manifesting. Like we want to manifest our life, right? So this is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms, Tahalim, chapter 119 and 158. Psalms 119, 158. He said, I look at the faithless with disgust. Right? That's how Satan will look at you when you speak the truth. He said, I look at faithless with disgust because they do not keep your commandments. That's what Satan do. He says, consider how I love your precepts. Give me life according to your steadfast love. The sum of your words is truth, and every one of your righteous rules endures forever. Right? Princes persecute me without a cause, but my heart stands in awe of your debar. He said, rulers, archons, princes, malkas, because malkas, women can rule too. Malkas, all persecute me without a cause. These are going to be women too, men and women. But my heart stands in awe of your words. I rejoice at your word like one who finds great spoil. I hate and abhor falsehood, but I love your Torah. You get what it says? 7 times a day, I praise you. He said, you want to keep your lamps burning? You want to keep your manure burning? 7 times a day, I praise you for your righteous rules. So not only you got to sing that, he said, but for you got to be singing with a good heart for your righteous rules you've given me. Get what it says? Great peace have those who love your Torah. Get what you know? Great peace. Oh, that's one of the fruits of the Ruach. Oh, you mean that's one of the kindness, ahab, joy, patience, meekness, temperance. How you say shalom? Peace. You get what it says? Nothing can make them stumble. Why? Because you know why you can't stumble? Because he says the bar is a lamp to your feet and a light unto your pathway. Because your manure is burning. You can see in the dark. You can see in the dark. If you see in the dark, you know. Right? And it says, nothing can make them stumble. I hope for your salvation, O Yahuwah. I do your commands. My soul keeps your testimonies. I love them exceedingly. I keep your precepts and your testimonies, for all my ways are before you. He said, all my ways. All my ways. All my ways, right? But amazingly, he said, if you're a servant and you can't forgive another person their servant or debt, Yahuwah, even though you won't forgive them their debt, guess who the person Yahuwah gonna get out of prison once you get thrown in? He finna get the person you put in there because you wouldn't have mercy. Then Yahushua gonna come and show them mercy, and you know what? You gonna be like, Master, remember me? And you know he gonna say, no, I don't know you. Hey, such and such, I remember that person won't forgive your debt. And you were pleading for mercy, and you hit the ground. And you went at his feet in humility. You ready to get out of here? He's like, yes, Master. And he gonna take him out of prison and leave you there. He said, you gonna leave me there? He's like, yeah. I'm gonna leave you there. Right, so this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 25. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 23. Leviticus, Yaqra 25, 23. The land, it says, the land shall not be sold in perplexity, for the land is mine. For you are strangers and sojourners with me. And in all the countries you possess, you shall allow the redemption of the land. If your brother becomes poor and sells parts of his property, then the nearest redeemer shall come and redeem what his brother has sold. If a man has no one to redeem it, then himself becomes prosperous and finds sufficient means to redeem it. Let him calculate the years since he sold it and pay back the balance to the man whom he sold it, and then return to his property, right? But if he does not have sufficient means to recover it, then what he sold shall remain in his hand of the buyer until the year of Jubilee. And in the year of Jubilee, that's 49. Why do you think Yahushua say 70 times 77 times? Why do you think he says that? Why do you think he says that? It shall be released, and he shall return to his property. He said, you shall release him. That's why you were talking about it. That was near talk. That's lamp talk. That's manure talk. If a man sells a dwelling house in a walled city, he may redeem it within a year of its sale. For a full year, ye shall have the right of redemption. Right? You get a whole year to do it. They do that when people they can't pay their tax liens and their taxes, and they put a lien on it, and then if they can't redeem it, then the person who just buy, if it has no redeem on it, you can buy it, and then they can't actually get it back. They don't have a redeeming time period. They actually do this in society. If it is not redeemed within a full year, then the house in the walled city shall belong to perpetuity to the buyer throughout his generations. It shall not be released in the Jubilee. But the houses of the villages that have no wall around them shall be classified with the field of the land. They may be redeemed, and they shall be released in the Jubilee. As for the cities of the Levites may redeem at any time the houses in the cities they possess. And if one of the Levites exercises his right of redemption, then the house that was sold in a city they possess shall be released in the Jubilee. For the houses in the city of the Levites are the possession among the people of Yasharal, but the fields of pasture land belong to the cities may not be sold, for that is the possession forever. Verse 35, if your brother becomes poor and cannot maintain himself with you, you shall support him as though he were a stranger and sojourner, and he shall live with you. He shall do what? He shall live with you. Take no interest from him or profit. He shall live with you, but you taking all his money though. And you know what happens after that? Take no interest from him or profit, but fear Yahuwah your Elohim, that your brother may live beside you. You know, you see how Yahuwah is with his son. Sit down here on my right hand until I make your enemies my footstool. You live right beside me. And get what he said. You shall not lend him your money at interest, nor give him your food for profit. Ooh, boy. You know what he says? I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your Elohim. What? He said you shouldn't even be taking that man money. Matter of fact, he should be living with you. Matter of fact, you can't even pretend when you do it. You taking interest of him for profit when he waxing poor, he can't support himself, and then you even putting interest on it. Verse 39, if your brother becomes poor beside you and sells himself to you, you shall not make him serve as a slave. He said you can't even make him, if he become poor, you should not make him a slave. That means, you know, you be working without pay. You know, that stuff that people they did he said when they have people in the field, you working without pay. You know what he says? He shall be with you as a hired worker and as a sojourner. You should be supposed to give him some money. You do this for free, huh? It don't work like that. Let me use that for free. No, this ain't. Yeah, I'm poor, man. You could pay me if you want to use that. That costs money. You know how much that's worth? You want to use that? That's money. You need to give me some money for that. Like people be thinking things are free, whether online or digital or whether it's reality, right? It don't work like that. People just be doing stuff. No, you can't do that. Especially if it has value. He shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee. It's for 7 years. That's how long he serves you. And then he says, and you got to pay him for them 7 years. Then he shall go out from you, he and his children with him. You can't stop him either. And go back to his own clan and return to the possession of his father. He said, man, that man go back, right? For they are my servants. Oh. For they are your servants. They are my servant. Why do you think he was talking to why do you think Qahalath was talking about near talk, Jubilee talk? He said, that's my servant you ain't forgiving, you ain't supporting, you ain't giving no money, and you ain't allowing him to live with you and allow him to pay his debt. That's you. That's my servant. You did that too. That's what you did that. You charge him interest. You the one wanted to throw him in jail before he can even give him time to even pay it. He wasn't even in Jubilee yet. And then the Jubilee, you gotta let him go free with his debt. You know what you did? You threw him in prison and said, you choked him out. You know how they say you choked him out? You choked him out with a chokehold, the lion killer. You go look that up. He said with the lion killer chokehold, but that thing is deadly. But put you asleep in 2 minutes, actually 30 seconds. And it said right here, for they are my servants whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim. Oh, didn't we just come out of Mizraim? Oh yeah, we did. Oh, he brought us out of Mizraim. It's the morning time, daytime, right? He brought us out of Mizraim, didn't we? They shall not be sold as slaves. Like we just came out of Mizraim. We just came out of slavery. Did we not? We came out of slavery. We came out of sin. We came out of that world. And now we're out of Mizraim. We don't need to go back to Mizraim. And guess what happens? You shall not rule him in ruthless, but you shall fear your Elohim. Now you see why Yahushua was like, you wicked servant. He said, why Yahushua said that? He said, you shall not be ruthless. The man choked the man. He almost killed him. Then he threw him in jail. Then he's talking about something, pay me. How you gonna pay the man back when you in prison and Yahushua forgave you your debt and you can't forgive nobody else? And guess what he said? You shall not rule over him in ruthlessness, but you shall fear Yahuwah your Elohim. As for your male and female slaves whom you may have, you may buy male and female slaves from among the nations that are around you. You may also buy from among the strangers who sojourn with you, but their clans that are with you, who have been born in your land, and they may be your property, right? You may bequeath them to your sons after you have inherited as a possession forever. But you may make slaves of them. But over your brothers, the people of Yasharal, ye shall not rule one over another ruthlessly. And people say, you say, man, you shall not rule over him ruthlessly. You know how many people done did that? You say, he said, you rule ruthlessly over your brother. You took everything you got, cast him out, threw all stuff around, and then now he ain't got nothing. And then people say, you'll see people do things and they make a video and put some tape out here. Some people can study as a case study, and they be putting stuff out, and you be like, man, why they did that for real? And you be like, why they doing that? The only reason Yahuwah allowed them to do that, because you transgressed the Torah. That's the only reason he did that. And he wants you to get to the point where you get to the point where you read it and study it again, and you make your flesh weary again and go through the book. And you be like, man, I did that wrong. You got to make that right. If you don't. Verse 47, we almost finished out of this. If a stranger or sojourner with you becomes rich, and your brother beside him becomes poor, and sells himself to the stranger or the sojourner with you, or to a member of the stranger's clan, then after he is sold, he may be redeemed. One of his brothers may redeem him. He said, you got to go do that. He can't go be working for them. Your brother, you got to redeem him. Or his uncle, relative, or cousin may redeem him. Or a close relative from his clan may redeem him. Right? His blood family. Right? He said, you got to do that. Or if he grows rich, he may redeem himself. Then you start, he's like, man, I got rich, I can free myself. Hey man, how much I gotta pay you to get away from this, get out of this slavery? This much. Now you see why when the king of Assyria came to Joash and he was coming to take their city, he went in the treasury, pulled that money out of there. You know what he did? He said, we're not gonna be slaves of you. And you know why he paid that money? Because that's what you call wisdom. He's like, they coming to make us slaves. How much we got to pay you so we don't be slaves to you? Give me some gold, silver. They give you a number, a price, and then you pay the price. And then guess what? They leave you alone. They let you go free. Because that's how strangers are. Wisdom is like the protection of money. You need it. If people say, I don't need it, you need it. You need a lot of it too, especially in this world today. And it said right here, we almost finished, and it says, or if he grows rich, he may redeem himself. He shall calculate with his buyer from the year when he sold himself to him until the year of Jubilee. He's got about 7 years worth of money. And the price of his sale shall vary with the number of years. So it can't be over the year, like I'm gonna go 8 years, 10 years. No, you gotta be 7, exactly how many years. You gotta calculate. I came here in spring, first day of spring, Abyb, and this is the next 7 years of Abyb. Yeah, that's 7 years. Like, you can't be counting it and trying to get some extra money out of it. Then Yahuwah gonna see you wicked servant. Like, you don't want to do that. Just do exactly what it is and be done with it. And it said right here, the time he was in his owners shall be rated at the time of a hired worker. if there are still many years left, he shall pay proportionately for his redemption some of his sale price. If there remain but a few years until the year of Jubilee, he shall calculate and pay for his redemption in proportion to his years of service. Like, it's not, oh, I'm going to do 7 years, even though the year of Jubilee is not here, I'm going to do about 5 years. But I'm going to say 7, just so that'd be adding on interest, because you only did 5 years and you're trying to get him for 7 years, and the Jubilee is not here, so you're adding interest, and then Yahushua going to say, you wicked servant. He said, that's how he gonna be. Like, and then he said, and then you be thinking like, and then you'll make up a lie. Oh, you did that to me 5 years ago. And it was only 2 years ago. And then you can't forget, it was only 2 years ago I did that. It wasn't 5 years or 6 years. You try to turn one small thing so great to 10 years, and it was only 2 years ago he did it. It was 10 years ago. You talking about 10 years ago? It was only 2 years ago that I did it. And then you entangle people, that's 11. Right, these are all part of it. And there remain but a few years until the year of Jubilee. He shall calculate a pay for his redemption in proportion to the years of service. He shall retreat him as a hired worker year by year. He shall not ruthlessly rule over him in your sight. Right, so Yahushua was never about that. Right, here we go, verse 54. And if he is not redeemed by these means, then he and his children with him shall be released in the year of Jubilee. In the year of Jubilee. People say, why did Yahushua stay on the cross for six hours? And at the 7th, he was put in the grave. Right? Why do you think he did that? Because it was the year of Jubilee. He was releasing everybody of their debt. And get what it says. For it is to me that the people of Yasharal are servants. Oh, okay. It is to me that the people of Yasharal are servants. So it ain't to you. So this ain't talking about you. So people say, oh yeah, this ain't talking about you. And get what it says. They are my servants whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim. Oh, didn't we just come out of Mizraim? Everybody. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, right? You say, what do you mean? They're your servants. So here we go. Now this is gonna open up. All right, here we go. This is another thing, right? So here we go. This is the book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 1. Romans chapter 14, verse 1. As for the one who is weak in Amunah, welcome him. Huh? Let me just read, let the weak say I'm a warrior. Then we just read that. As for the one who is weak in Amunah, welcome him. Let the weak say I'm a warrior. Right? You know what it says? But not to quarrel over opinions. One believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. That's without physical strength. Let not one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for Elohim has welcomed him or her. Who are you to pass judgment on the servant of another? We just read, these are my servants. They are servants to me. And when Yahuwah said, they are servants to me. Not servants to you. They are all servants to me, Yahuwah. It is before his own master that he stands and falls. Who's the master? Yahushua Mashiach, Yahuwah. You ain't the master. And get what it says. He will be upheld, for Yahuwah is able to make him stand. Right here, even if he lacks no physical strength. He's like, man, you just eat vegetables and you lost all physical. He's like, even if you don't got it. Or you be like Daniel and you got it. It all depends how Yahuwah make you. Right? That's how it is. Verse 5, one person esteems one day as another, while the other esteems all the days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. The one who observes the day observes it in honor of Yahuwah. Right? He said, the servants, Yasharal are my servants, they ain't yours. The one who eats in honor of Yahuwah, since he gives thanks to you, Elohim, while the other who abstains in honor to Yahuwah and gives thanks to Elohim. And that's how you know Daniel was giving thanks to Yahuwah during Pesach, during unleavened bread, because he fasted from the first day to the 21st day. You can't, if you would have passed judgment on Daniel, there wouldn't been no. There was a man, I saw a man on the river with a belt and golden ephod with eyes like flaming torches. There wouldn't been none of that. Like all that stuff you read about that people be boasting about. His eyes like the flames of fire, right? His hair like white like wool, and all these things that people make. There wouldn't have been none of that. Because if Daniel went and fasted from the first day of the year, Abyb, all the way through Pesach, Passover, all the way to the 21st day, there wouldn't have been none of that. You would have never had seal up the book in these words, right? I come to dissolve all doubt in your mind. Right? There been no Michael visiting Michael on the 23rd day on waving the sheep, and he's like, these people been fighting me for 24 days. There wouldn't have been none of that. So you can't really, if you'd have passed judgment on him during that time, be like, man, what you doing? You're supposed to be eating the lamb and the Pesach and all that. What you doing out there doing that? You be careful, right? You be real careful what you talking about. I know people be thinking they know. I'd be like, you better be real careful now. I can't really control it. Like, I'm gonna do Pesach, but I don't know what I'm gonna do it. He's like, why you ain't doing it? I'd be like, I just go ahead. Yahuwah might be giving them Rebel Kazum, right? Some things are getting ready to happen, right? Might be getting ready to reveal more stuff. Everybody think they know and be like, nah, you don't know yet. There's a lot of things been sealed up. So especially right now, right? Seriously. And it says, the one who observes the day observes it in honor of Yahuwah. The one who eats in honor of Yahuwah. And he gives thanks to Elohim, while the other abstains, giving honor to Yahuwah and giving thanks to Elohim. For none of us lives to himself. Why? Because you're all servants of Yahuwah. He said, Yasharal, the children of Yasharal are my servants. They ain't your servants. We just read it. Or you want Yahuwah to say, you wicked servant. So it better let your words be few. Right? And it said right here, for none of us lives to himself, and none of us dies to himself. For if we live to Yahuwah, and if we die to Yahuwah. Oh, yeah. We just talked about it in Psalm 49. Who's going to redeem you out of the pit? He said, everybody will go to the dust. Who's going to get you out? You going to get yourself out? Or you going to have some unseen being? Let me guess, you're going to conjure somebody up. You're going to travel through the portal and go through the metaverse, like you see in a movie, and go through portals and jump down there and go get them out yourself. Right? That's what you're going to go do? Right? There's people that can do that. And I'm not saying that people can't. People can open up gateways and doorways. They be magician and sorcerer and jump through another world and go visit people. They can do that. I'm not doing it. I mean, you can go do it. That's not a part of my how you say? That's not a part of my life. Right? Some people can though. I've seen some people do some stuff. I'm like, how you do that? How you jump out of that tree when I was just walking down the street? You just jump out of nowhere. How you do that? I don't want to know. Verse 8, for if we live to Yahuwah. And if we die to Yahuwah. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are Yahuwah's servants. Right? That's literally what he's saying. We are Yahuwah's servants because we are his servants. We are not your servants. You know how you say? You servants to me. No. The children of Yasharal are servants to me. Right? That's what Yahuwah said. Right? He said, who you going to believe? Yahuwah or man? Yahuwah or man? Which one you want to be? Right? It says, for to this end Mashiach died and lived again, that he might be master both of the dead and the living. So you want to talk about who the master? The man is the master of the dead, the people who gone already, you don't see no more, and the living, you. He the master. And we are servants. We are servants to him. And if you servants to the Son, you servants to the Father. And if you servants to the Father, you servant to the Son. It's really that simple. And get what it says. Why do you pass judgment on your brothers and sisters? Or you, why do you despise your brother and sister? For we will all stand before the judgment seat of Yahuwah. You're going to stand up. And you be like, man, I got no physical strength. I ate only vegetables. Yahuwah say, get up and stand up. Just like he told Abraham. He said, send the Malaki and help him up. You never seen the movies where the king, the person be bound down, they be like, get him up. And they send the soldiers and grab you by your two shoulders and lift your behind up and make you stand up. That's what's going to happen. Yahuwah is able to make you stand. You're going to stand before the judgment seat of Yahuwah. For it is written, as I live, saith Yahuwah, every knee shall bow. You're going to hit the ground. You're going to be at his feet, at the sapphire feet, at his throne. Either you're going to bow and shed tears and cry and be like, have mercy on me, and show much kindness and love and fruits that he want to see. And you, guess what? He going to be like, your Amunah has healed you. Your sins are forgiven. Go in peace into paradise in the kingdom of Yahuwah. Either you're going to do that, or every knee shall bow to me and every tongue shall confess to Yahuwah. What do you think happened to Qahalath? When he had lied 3 times, after he said what he wasn't going to do, he lied 3 times before and lied 3 times after. What do you think he did? I mean, when he go confess, man, he will confess his sins. So then each of us will give an account to himself, to Yahuwah, because you are his servant. And you're going to give an account of your accounts and those debts you didn't never release. And guess what he's going to do? I'm going to judge you. Right, verse 13. Therefore, let us not pass judgment on another any longer, but rather decide never to put a stumbling block or a hindrance in the way of your brother or sister. Don't do it. Don't put a stumbling block. Because you know what stumbling blocks are: slander, hatred, all these works of the flesh. Slander, sowing leaven, discord, all that stuff is all works of the flesh. Selfishness, envy, jealousy, these are all stumbling blocks. Because we stumble at that. You should stumble at it. You be like, man, that should be something you be stumbling over. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. That's like stumbling. You walking down the street, big old rock, and you trip over the rock. That's what slander is. They're trying to make you fall on your neck and hurt yourself. That's all it's for. Right? Triple, that's what Satan do. He'll put a big rock on the road and you hit the ground. You be like, man, who did that? That's Satan. You be like, man, I hit my leg. You know how you hit your leg? And you be walking, you be like, man, I ain't, boom, oh my goodness, my foot, right? And you start to hit, that's Satan right there. You know that, right? That's Satan. You be like, that ain't Satan, that is Satan. You be running down the street, next thing you know, your ankles start buckling open, and you be like, man, what just happened to my foot? I thought it was good. No, that's Satan. That's him. Make you get on one knee. That's him. That's Satan. That's what slander does. Gossip, envy, jealousy, slander, adultery, fornication, all that stuff he puts, these are all things that he does. That's him. Right? And you be like, so he said, be ignorant of his devices. That's him. That's what he wants. He wants you to be like, man. Right? But it is, but it says that nothing, what it says, I'm sorry. Therefore, let us not pass judgment on one another any longer, but rather decide never to be a stumbling block or a hindrance in the way of your brother or sister. I know, and am persuaded in the Master Yahushua that nothing is unclean in itself, but it is unclean for anyone who thinks it is unclean. Right? So it's all in your mind. And guess what it says? For if your brother is grieved by what you eat, you are no longer walking in love. Are you talking about like the woman? She loved much. He said, he's grieved by what you're eating. He said, you're not walking in love by what you eat. Do not destroy the one for whom Mashiach died. Who destroyed? Who's the destroyer? We just talked about all the powers of Mastamim. We just came out of Mizraim. We talked about Bianakis. Right? Bianakis is what? Demon that make your body waste away and go on diseases, right? We talk about many other things that, that people don't want to talk about. But it says right here, you're going to destroy the one whom Mashiach died for. You're going to become the very powers of Mastamim that Yahushua put the blood over the doorpost in the top of your house and the doorpost, that he protected people from. You're going to become the destroyer. And he got the blood of Mashiach on, and you trying to get in and trying to destroy him with your words and the sayings you say, and you're going to destabilize his mind. That's literally what he's telling you. Because he's talking about your mind. So do not let what you regard as good be evil spoken of as evil, right? So what you regarded as good in your life, like the life you live, he said, don't let it be evil spoken. For the kingdom of Elohim is not a matter of eating and drinking, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Qahalath Ruach. That's all it's about. But it says, whosoever thus serves Mashiach is acceptable to Elohim and approved by men. So let us pursue what makes for peace and mutual upbuilding. Do not, for the sake of food, destroy the work of Yahuwah. He said meats. You ain't supposed to be doing anything in dainty meat or anything excess anyway. But he's saying, you gonna let food? What people akla? That's all food is akla, what you put in your mouth. Yo, it says, do not let food destroy, right? And it says right here, but it says everything is indeed clean. I'm sorry, here we go. Do not, for the sake of food, destroy the work of Elohim. Everything is indeed clean, but it is wrong for anyone to make anyone stumble by what he eats, right? It is good not to eat meat or drink wine, right? It's good not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything that causes your brother to stumble. Right, he writing this in Romans, right? These are all Gentiles, but still, it's good though. The amunah that you have, keep between yourself and Yahuwah, right? This is why you need to keep all your stuff to yourself. That's why you don't need to be, look what I do, look what I do, look what I do. And then other people are going to look at you, and then they're going to develop these things for you, and they're going to be like, well, we can do this, we can do that. He said, keep it to yourself. It's not something you people talking about. He said, Barak is the one who has no reason to pass judgment on himself for what happens, what he approves. Because you persuaded in your own mind. Like it's not something I can persuade you to do something. They say, I'll make you do something. It says, but whoever has doubts is condemned if he eats, because the eating is not from amunah. Right? So some people believe they can eat certain things, and some people don't. But if they do it by amunah, you can't. What you gonna do? You gonna try to condemn them? No. For whatever does not proceed from amunah is sin. You doing it by your faith. That's what you're doing it for. It's sin. Why? Because it's not in amunah. Like, I don't know it. I don't know what you know. I don't have that understanding. So that's why you keep it to yourself. And then what? I'm eating that, and then guess what it does? It makes me offended. Oh, what I believe is this. So being that you're eating that lamb over there, that flesh, I'm not going to believe what you believe. I'm not going to listen, because it becomes like your natural food becomes the reason why you can't hear the Ruach food. You get what I'm saying? Like, now you can't hear the Ruach food, but you can eat the food though. You know, you can eat your natural food, but the Ruach food comes, now you got a problem. Right? That's how the vice versa. That's what you're trying to avoid. Because we're trying to upbuild. We ain't trying to destroy nothing. But then people try to create things. Why you doing that? Why you doing it like that? Why you doing it like that? Because that's the amunah that he gave me. What you want me to do? Like say, oh, no, I'm not trying to condemn you. Right? I can convince people. Right? But that's not my job. I'm just telling you. Like people trying to create things. Right? This is the next thing. This is the last thing, and I'm almost done. This is the last thing. This is the last thing. This is the last thing. Alright, so here we go. This is Ephesians chapter 5, I believe. Ephesians chapter Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1. It says, therefore be imitators of your Elohim, Yahuwah, as beloved children, right? So you got to imitate your father in Shamayim, because you are his servants, right? That's what he said. All the children of Yasharal, they are servants to me. Right? So then people say, oh yeah, I'm a servant. No, he said, you're not my servant. You're a servant to Yahuwah. It says, and walk in love, as Mashiach loved us. That's why you got to forgive people their debts. It's the same thing. And then what he says, and gave himself up for us a fragrant offering and sacrifice to Yahuwah. Because he was his servant. I'm the servant of Yahuwah. So, and then guess what it says? But sexual immorality and all impurity and all or covetousness must not even be named among you. Because it's all leaven. As proper among the Chdshim, let there be no filthy or foolish talk, nor crude joking. Why? What is this going to produce? He said, why? Because there's a lot of spirits and demons that work around those things, and they love it. So he's literally trying to tell you, don't say these things out of your mouth, because death and life in the power of the tongue. So if you start to joke on somebody, then you're going to start overly joking. And then when you start overly joking, then you get drunk. Then them jokes going to turn into other jokes, and then they're going to turn into other things, and then they're going to spread, and then next thing you know, then the person going to be thinking that everybody against them. They're going to be thinking like other things in their thoughts, and Satan going to get in their mind like Cain, they don't love you, they don't care about you, and then he going to be thinking like, I'm going to kill my brother, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of things going on, all because of your seed you sowed. When Yahushua already sowed the seed in the ground during Pesach, right? But it said right here, that's the one thing that people don't know. Foolish talking, crude joking. That's one of the things that people think they ain't got to change. I be like, yeah, you do. Which are out of place, right? These are the things. These are the reasons why people say, I don't want nothing to do with that. I mean, that's another thing that people have. Like, you be sinning against Mashiach. If people don't like that, they don't want to eat that. Now, we talk about natural food, but you can destroy people just by this food. Like, that's food. That is things you sow. But instead, let there be thanksgiving. Let there be praise. Why do you think this near talk? How you say this Manurah talk? Why do you think David prays 7 times a day? Right. This is all Manurah talk. This is all about giving praise to Yahuwah. Because remember, he said, you sit and speak against your brother in Psalms 50. You slander your own mother's son. You crude joking, and you got all these things out of place. He said, I was silent. You thought I'd do the same thing you do? He said, now I lay charge before you. He said, he that offers praise, either offers thanksgiving to me or Aydah, he said he glorifies me because he is my servant. For you, make sure of this, that everyone who is sexually immoral or impure or who is covetous, that is an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of Mashiach and Yahuwah. So you be thinking like you're going to get in. Be like, you ain't coming to my Pesach. You know how Yahuwah, when he have his Pesach, he drink of his kingdom in the new. And he bring it in, you got leaven in your heart. This is leaven. He's like, you're not getting in my place. He going to see you with them 7 eyes, man. He going to see them. He going to see his manure burning now. He said, I'm going to see you. And people say, I'm going to get into his feast when he come. He going to be like, no. We almost done. Let no one deceive you by empty words. Right? This is all. Let no one deceive you by empty words. That's a spirit. People don't know that's a demon. So what comes to deceive you? With smooth talk. We talked about the Huyathan, Leviathan, right? Satan, the dragon. It's smooth speech. Let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of these things, the wrath of Yahuwah is coming upon the sons of disobedience. He's going to speak smooth words, right? So he's literally telling you that crude joking and foolish talk is sin. And he's saying that if somebody try to say opposite, he said they're trying to fool you. Because you're a disobedient son, because death and life in the power of the tongue. He said, therefore, do not become partners with them. You know, he said, join an alliance. You know how to say? He said, do not become partners with them. Because you know, if you become partner with them, you're going to be like them. And then Yahuwah going to see you the same way you see them. He see them. And you're going to get the same punishment that you do. That's how it works. And get what it says. For at one one time you were in darkness. He said you actually didn't have your near burning. Your seven Manurah, your seven near were not burning before. You was in darkness. You couldn't see in the dark. You wasn't watching. You couldn't look out, lean forward and look outside. You'd be like, what is that? Because your eyes weren't open. But now you are in the light of Yahuwah. You are the light in Yahuwah. Walk as the children of light, as the Manurah. Your Manurah are burning. You are the children of light. Your seven eyes are open. Look what it says. For the fruit of light is found in all that is good, right, and true. They ate the produce of the land during Pesach. They ate the produce of the land. So whatever's in your land, if you got people around you doing that, that's in your land. And you know what you got to do? It's in your land. Guess what you got to do? You got to get them out. You got to pluck it up. How you say? Or address it. And try it. And guess what it says? And try to discern what is pleasing to Yahuwah. Because you are his servants. You ain't no servant to the other people that's doing it. You are a servant to Yahuwah. All the children of Yahshua are his servants. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's self-explanatory. Verse 8. Take no part in unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them by what? Because the commandment is a lamp and the teaching is a light. Or your Manurah, like the Qahalath, like the male and female Qahalath lectures, things like that. People don't want to expose this. They want to talk about relationships and who's going to get married and who's going to do this and that. They don't want to expose this stuff though. Why do they want to expose this? This is crazy. Like, that's all y'all worried about. What about this? Because if the person you want to got these things in their heart, what good is you're going to be like Nabal. You'll be like, his old worthless name. That's exactly what his name is. You're going to be complaining to David. His name is Nabal. He worthless too. Man, he don't care about nobody. Just like his name. You'll be complaining, right? So why don't you work on getting these things out? Because these are the things that people need to expose. And Yahuwah still redeemed the ball if he really would accept him too. Because he died on the 10th day. Did he not? The same day that he said, take a lamb. Ain't that amazing? So, who are you to pass judgment on somebody else, Abigail? Oh man, right? See how Yahuwah work? Yahuwah be like, everybody his servants. But at the same time, this is a part of it. It says, found in all that is good and right and true, and try to discern what is pleasing to Yahuwah. Take no part in unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them with your seven Manurah. For it is a shameful to even speak of the things that are done in secret, because he's going to judge every secret thing. He can see in your secret heart. He said he's going to judge everybody by his truth and the secret things you hide in your heart. That's the conclusion of the whole matter. After you get done wearying yourself and wearing yourself out studying, because everybody got to do it, you ain't going to understand weariness. And he was weary. I'm weary and tired. You should be tiring yourself out with that. So when your seven eyes are open, it's time to judge somebody. You ain't going to be, when they come, that's what the whole point of the studying weariness is. So when you come to judge somebody, you judge properly. That's what you're studying it for. So you can expose things properly. You can give them the proper commandments. So they'll know what to do. And it says right here, but when anything is exposed by light, it becomes visible. I can see it now, right? For anything that becomes visible is light. Therefore it says, awake, awake, O sleeper. He said, you going to sleep? How long are you going to stay asleep? You know how he talked about with the cough? He said, you can't pray with me 1 hour? Awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead. Why do you think Yahushua had to get up? He was sleeping for 3 days and 3 nights. He said, awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Mashiach will shine on you. Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise but wise, because it's Manurah talk. Right? Making best use of the time, because the days are evil. You see what happened right now? Why do you think he make best use of the time? He said, making of many books and weariness and studious and mental, mental focus wears you out. That's how you make use of the time. Because you sitting here wasting it. And this is right here, not as unwise, but wise, making best use of the time because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of Yahuwah is, because you are his servant. And do not get drunk with wine, because you can't get drunkenness, because you get drunk with wine, you're going to be doing things opposite. For that is debauchery. How you say? That is dainty, he say, over excess of anything, of meats, of food. But be filled with the Ruach, addressing one another in psalms, in hymns, and spiritual songs. Why do you think David said, I sing 7 times a day? Oh, the 7 Manurah. This is how you say Manurah. This is all about your Manurah, your near. It's all about keeping it burning. Singing and making melody to Yahuwah, because you are his servants, not everybody else, with your heart. With your heart. Giving thanks always for everything to Elohim in the name of our Master Yahushua, submitting to one another. Oh, now you see why you say Qahalath, and you talk about male, female, women. All these things are a part. Adam, male and female. Submitting to one another out of reverence to the person that's telling you to do something, right? No, submitting yourself to one another out of reverence to Mashiach, the master, because he the master. He a master of spirits. It says, and then it said right here, wives, right? And it said W-I, it said wives, it's talking about women. Submit yourselves to your husbands as to Yahuwah. So is there you submitting to your husband? No, this has nothing to do with your husband, because you are Yahuwah's servants. As to Yahuwah, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the body, the kingdom, the body. His body, and he is himself its savior. He said its savior. Yeah. Now as the body submits to the Mashiach, who is the head, so also wives submit in everything to their husbands, submitting to one another in reverence for Mashiach. Right? This ain't reverence for the individual. He said this is for Mashiach's sake. Making the best use of time. Actually, going back, going to verse 5. Mashiach actually says, now as the body submits to Mashiach, so also the wives should submit in everything to their husbands, in everything. But this is the one thing that you need to pay attention to. Husbands, love your wives. Why would we say that? Because the wife is not a servant to you. She's a servant. All the children of Yahshua are servants to Yahuwah. And as Mashiach loved the Karya and gave himself up for her. Why? Because he said, you are servants of Mashiach. So he said, what do we read in the law? It said, do not rule ruthlessly over them. For they are Yahuwah's servants. Because if you rule ruthlessly over them, then they can't be servants to no one else. Because they are Yahuwah's servants. Husbands, love your wives as Mashiach loved the body and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her from the washing of water with the word. Oh. Washing of water of the word. As rain and snow come down from Shamayim, so do the Barbie that goes out of our mouth. It shall accomplish what it's sent to do. It shall succeed what I sent it to do. So that he might present the body, his body to himself in splendor, his wife to him in splendor. That's literally what he's saying. Without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be Qahalath and without blemish. Oh, you mean a lamb? You know, like a sow? You know, like a sow without blemish. You know how we had, you have a sow. Pesach lamb had to be without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He said, your own bodies. Yeah, because bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, you shall be called Isha. Why? They are one flesh, Akkad. But it says right here, he who loves his wife loves himself. He said, you love yourself. Yeah, you love yourself, right? For no one ever hated his own flesh. Think about that. He said, how many people hate their own flesh? Naturally in the world, before they got some more flesh to add to their body, right? You know how people do that? Nobody hated it. Even the fake people who get plastic surgery, they add some more flesh to their body. You think they hate that flesh they added to their body? They take care of that thing like it ain't nothing. He's like, man, you added this to me, so I'm gonna take care of this plastic that you put on me, right? They do that naturally, and people be putting all these likes and stuff, and they be liking it, right? No man ever did that. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it. Just as Mashiach does the congregation. Now, everybody don't take care of their body. That's how you know. He said, I got to take care of my body. That's how I know. He's like, yeah, you take care of your body, then you'll know how to take care of your body. Oh, that rhymes too. Take care of a body, and you'll know how to take care of a body. That's how you know. You be with somebody who don't take care of their body, and then you understand what you're going to get when you join to his body. It's all a part of it. I know it's all a part of it, right? It says, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it. But so just as Mashiach does his body, because we are members of his body. He's like, hold up. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. He's like, hold up. You bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. We are members of your body. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his Isha, and they two shall become one flesh. Right, you go all the way back to the beginning. Bereshit chapter 3, you can read it. Bereshit chapter 2, right? Bereshit chapter 2, the last 15 verses, right? It said, this mystery is profound. I am saying that it refers to Mashiach in his body. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Right? He said, see that you respect him, right? So this is the book of, this is the last thing. This is the book of, don't be like, he said, don't be like McCall, don't be like these other people. But he said right here, this is the book of, I wanted to go there, but probably not. Yeah, so this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 24. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 1. It says, be not envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them. For their hearts devise violence. That's why you think Shaul said, don't be partners with them. He's like, what you partnering with these people for? Their heart devises violence. Why do you think the man choke them out? He's like, man, we are really troubled by this. And then when they go tell Yahushua, what you think gonna happen when they tell Yahushua? You be like, I'm gonna tell Yahushua on you. You know, you have people say, I'm gonna tell my pastor on you. I'm gonna tell my Mori on. I'm gonna tell these. No, you go tell Yahushua on. And you find what Yahushua gonna do. And it says, nor desire to be with them, for their hearts devise violence. Why do you think servants do that? You see people on YouTube, Instagram, everybody do it. They make videos going back and forth. He said their heart devise violence, and their lips talk of trouble. That's all they talk about. But yet they want to fight other people, and then they talking of trouble. And then they want to bring you into it. People like, no, that's between you and Yahushua when he come back. Right? By wisdom a house is built. Now you see why he said be wise, not unwise, but wise. Because that ain't wise to do that. And by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. And people say, I want to be, this is why. A wise man is full of strength. A wise man or woman is full of strength. I thought you eat vegetables. I thought you ain't have no strength, no physical strength. But he says a wise man or woman is full of strength. So if you become wise, you full of strength. And they be judging you like, oh, you ain't got no physical strength. He be like, I'm wise though. He said, you full of strength. You full of the Ruach. You know how I say, be not drunk with wine, be filled with the Ruach. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might, his koach. His koach. For by wise guidance, you can wage your war. Let the weak say I'm strong. You know, he says, Yahuwah has welcomed the weak. Let the weak say I'm strong. That's what you got to say to yourself. People say, it's like Ezra say, Nafash, receive wisdom and knowledge. He said that to himself. He said that. They say affirmations. Nafash, receive wisdom and honor. Nafash, though they say my physical strength is weak, we are strong and we are warriors, right? You got to tell yourself that in the midst of it all. Right? You see what we're up against? People say, yeah, you got to tell yourself that. A wise man is full of strength. A wise man or woman is full of strength. And a man or woman of knowledge enhances his or her might. By wise guidance, you can wage your war. And the abundance of counselors, there is victory. Death is swallowed up in victory. He said, there's victory. You win. Wisdom is too high for a fool. You're like, man, this is way too high for me. Because you know why it's too high for a fool? Because they ain't never bowed at Yahuwah's sapphire throne, with his son sitting at his sapphire throne right hand. And they ain't never actually did it. Because it's way too high. Because Yahuwah's thoughts are way higher than our thoughts. And his understanding is way higher. And we can't count the sum of them. It's more than the sands of the sea. Matter of fact, when Yahushua bore our sin, it was more than heavier than the sands of the sea. That's why a fool can't understand it. Because there's a higher official above a higher official. And Yahushua is the master. So people think they are a higher official, but Yahushua is the master. And there's a higher official above him. Right? And that's why Abumelech, Al-Salbi, Alpharis, Dagon, Baseda, Barbarius, Asmodeus, Satan, Satan, Abyb, all of them get upset. Adal, Aldi. That's why they get mad. Right? That's why they do all that trickery and lying. And Barbados. That's why they do it. Because they don't like it. But Khan, demon of the sun, that's why they get upset. They said wisdom is too high for a fool. In the gate, he does not open his mouth. Right? That's what they thought Yahushua was, because he ain't say nothing. But he was just like a dumb lamb. He was just like they thought he was a fool. But in actuality, he wasn't. He trapped them up, just like we talked about yesterday. Whoever plans to do evil will be called a schemer. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer is an abomination to mankind. So they ain't just an abomination to the person. When you devising evil and you doing crude joking and you doing all this foolish talk, it's not only an abomination, it's the abomination to everybody, to Adam in general, to the whole body. It ain't just an abomination to you. It should be an abomination to everybody. Verse 10 says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Let the weak say I'm strong. Let the weak say I'm strong. And let the weak say I'm a warrior. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Rescue those who are being taken away to death. He said, rescue those who are, for the wages of sin is death. Rescue them out of it. Don't lead them in there. That makes no sense. He said, you members one of another. Rescue the person out of death. You gonna let him, or you want to be a companion with him who destroys, like Satan. No, you supposed to be. Why would he say rescue people who are in death, been taken away to death? Because Yahushua gonna rescue us once we die out of Sheol. Who gonna ransom you out? That's what he gonna do for us. So that's why he's telling us to do it for others. Hold back those who are stumbling to the slaughter. He said, if you tripping over Satan, everywhere you go, poop, 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 fall on your neck. He said, hold these people back. If you say, behold, we did not know this, does not he who weighs the heart? Then he said, give praise to Yahuwah with your hearts. Because Yahuwah don't look like man see. You judge the outward. Yahuwah look at the heart. Does he not know? He says, if you say, behold, we do not know this, does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? He can see with his 7 eyes. Do you know how his flaming torches, it ain't going out yet? He will not, and will he not repay man according to his works? Because we all gonna stand before the judgment seat of Yahuwah to give an account for the things we do and say. Why you think Yeshua was talking about things you say, things you crude joking? All these things are not out of place. All these are a part. You eat this, you sinning against Mashiach, you trying to make somebody say something to you. Like, these are all schemes. These are all things that you just want to have fun and you want to make fun of somebody. All this is a part of things you got to get rid of. Right? It says right here, we almost finished. And it says, does not he who keeps watch over you, actually, here we go. Does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? So we know we just came from a night of much watching. And we know Yahushua is the watchman over our souls, right? And he's giving us the commandments what to do. And amazingly, his eyes are like fire, and he's a watchman. He can see it. And he said, can't you watch me for 1 hour, Kyle? All you disciples, all you people, all the children of Yahshua, it's a night of much watching. You know what he said? He said, all y'all supposed to be doing it. And all of y'all are my servants. Who are you? Right? So these are all a part of the belief. Right? It says, does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? And will he not repay man according to his work? My son, eat honey. Eat the honey. It's good for you. For it is good. What he said? The dripping of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. He said, that thing's sweet. It's like wisdom. It says, know that wisdom is such to your soul. If you find it, there will be a future. And your hope will not be cut off. You will not be cut off from Yahshua. You know how it talks about? If you have any leaven in your house, that soul shall be cut off. But if you eat wisdom, Hakma, he said, you'll never be cut off. Even if they cast you out, they say, let it suffer throughout the camp. He said, man, ain't no way they can cut you off. If you got that in your heart, right? He said, ain't no way, right? So, and then, here you go, verse 15. I ain't even want this, I'm gonna go here. Lie not in wait as a wicked man against the dwelling of the righteous, right? That's what Shaul was warning everybody on what they're doing. Do not do violence to his home. He said, don't even do it. It says, for the righteous falls 7 times and rise again. He said, his lamp may go out. He said, man, you down for the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He get up. And he get up again, and it's 8. He's like, I'm back. And he say gentleness, self-control. But get what it says. But the wicked stumble in times of calamity. And he said, you'll find out. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles. Right? He said, don't even be glad. We saw you. Yeah, you thought it was. Yeah, you. That's how you know your enemies. He's like when he fumbles, right? But most of the time, he said that'll be Satan. That's why Yahushua rebuked Satan inside the Qahalath. Right? That's what they do. He says, he said, lest Yahuwah see it and be displeased and turn on his anger from him. Right? Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Don't beat yourself over the head. Be not envious of the wicked, for the evil man has no future. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. Right? That's why he says, if you walk in wisdom, you will find a future. And it's like honey and it's sweet to your soul. And he said, if you do it, you will have a future and your hope will not be cut off. Right? So we look at all that. Look at Yahushua Mashiach. Look at the light of life. Look at, say, not having leaven or a leavened life in your unleavened life during this time, that you may be able to put the things that are proper to allow you to leaven. And the only thing you want to leaven are the fruits and the produce of the land that Yahuwah wants to eat. Right? For his soul desire the first ripe fig. and we look at everything that's in our life and the fruits that need to bear, all these things sprung up on the third day of creation. Just like we're on the first day of Chag Matsah, just like the beginning. But then 2 days from now, after the sun goes down, it'll be the second day and the third day. Then on the third day, what sprung up? It sprung up the trees bearing fruit, right? And the things dasher from the ground, and it sprung up, right? So we look at this day, we look at the unification of this body, how you say this 15th day, the 15th letter of the alphabet, which is spine, which is unification, which means a lot of different things, but at the same time, then we look at the 14th day, which was noon, which was the 14th letter of the alphabet, which brought life to us. And by doing so, it brought us to unification, and he said, brought your body to alignment, just like your spine is. It should be. So we look at ourselves, and look at our individual self, we look at our inward man, looking at our inward being, our inward mind, and our inward thoughts. And we allow none of these things to manifest in our heart and our mind. For these are the parts of our bodies and the things within ourselves that we could not see before. These are the parts of ourselves that we cannot see through our natural eyes. We got to see these things through our mind and our 7 Manurah and our 7 near. Right? So this Aleph Yukanan 1, 2, 24, 2, 24 to 28. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. That's the only way you can understand 7 days of eating 11 bread. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. It says, for 6 days you worked, and then the 7th day he rested, right? All this is all part of it. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you, and what you heard from the beginning abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son, the Ben, the life of the house. We got that yesterday. And in the Father, the Abyb, the strength of the house. Let the weak say I'm strong. Ain't that something? Right there, let the weak say I'm strong, right? Let the weak say I'm strong. The life of the house and the strength of the house. And this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. What house will you build for me? He said, you got the life of the house and the strength of the house. He said, let the weak say I'm strong. Verse 26, I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. He said, let nobody deceive you with empty words. Smooth talk. Right? But the anointing you receive from him abides in you, and you have no need that anyone should teach you. But as his anointing teaches you about everything, and it's true, and is no lie, just as it has taught you, abide in him. And now, little children, because all the children of Yasharal are Yahuwah's servants. We are his servants. We are Yahusha, the master's servants. That's what we are. And now, little children, abide in him. We are Yahuwah's children. So that when he appears, we may have confidence. Let the weak say I'm strong. And not shrink from him in shame at his coming. Because our Manurah went out. Because if our Manurah go out, we're going to shrink back in shame. Why? Because we're in darkness again. And he said, then I bring you to light. But you know how Yahuwah's infinite mercy is. If he said, shrink in shame and you hit the ground. And you bow at his throne with tears. But guess what? All this is all part of our own humility. Right? So we all going to appear before the judgment seat of Yahuwah. And if you shrink back in shame and you hit the ground and you shrink with tears, what do you think he's going to do? What do you think he's going to do? What did he do before? Right? If you believe it. Like people want to say things, but you don't know where people going to go. The only thing you know is that your turn coming up. And you don't want him to say, you wicked servant. I forgave you your debt, and you couldn't forgive somebody else. I did all this for you, and you couldn't do that for somebody else. Because that very person that may shrink back in shame may be the very person that you caused to be in that situation when you should come back. And you might be the actual person that Yahushua say, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. And you on the ground, I know you in shame, but I know it was because of that person. And the only reason you're on the ground because of that person, your sins are forgiven. Because you were willing to do what he would not do. Right? So we look at ourselves to not be that individual to cause somebody else to fall and to be entangled with other people's things because of your pride and their own arrogance and crude joking, the things that people say. So we look at ourselves, we look at our inward man, we look at our inward being. And he said, lead us not into temptation, but always lead you the bar and your word as a way to be fire around us. We may have a way to escape. Because when you're covered in blood and you're out here with Satan on, you're like prey to him. And you got to stay covered in the blood. On your forehead, on your side posts, on your alabaster column legs, everything you got, right? Because everything you have, how you say, is prey for him. So we look at ourselves, we look at our inward man, we look at our inner being, our inner thoughts, and our inner mind. And we keep our mind focused on him and seeking those things which are above and on the earth. For our life is hid in Mashiach Yahusha, which is high above us, above the seven celestial circles, above the 13 Shamaim, sit with his throne, with his Father, on the sapphire throne. And through all of that, we read this last thing because it just popped in my mind, so I have to read it. Right? So this is the book of Mark. This is the book of Mark. Actually, Matthew. Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28, verse 16. It says, now the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain to which Yahushua had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him. But some doubted, right? They still doubted, even after. And Yahushua came and said to them, all authority in Shamayim and Arats have been given to me. Right? Because that's what his throne meant, his cassette. It meant authority. Which means he's sitting on the sapphire throne. He's like, son, do what you do. But remember, he gonna give it back to the Father eventually. He's like, I want to see what you do. And he said, all authority is given to me. And people say, how is that even possible? But he said, this is Qahalath, and upon him I'm going to build my kingdom on earth. So we look at ourselves, and we look at our individual self. We don't walk according to our flesh, but according to our Ruach man. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. But at the same time, as we look at ourselves, we look at our inward being, we look at our inward thoughts, we look at our whole body. Even as this body's being built, even as from the spine all the way down to the first Abyb to your strength, is the first letter, the Abyb. Amazingly, this is the first day of Chag Matsah, which is the Aleph. Right, so we look at ourselves, we look at our inward man, we look at our inner being, and we walk in and say, walk in love as Mashiach, walk as his Abyb, his servants, and have our eyes open. Ears open, eyes open, right? And then we close them when Satan comes. He said, close them, right? Because sometimes, right now, he said, the seed's been sown. He said, close the doors of your mind. You got to be a watchman now, again. Because you know why? Because he's coming to take everything that's been sown in your mind. Because this is his time. Right? He ain't got nothing else to do. What else he got to do? Kill, steal, and destroy. That's all he got to do. He ain't got nothing else to do. So you know he ain't got nothing else to do. So why not protect yourself for what he getting ready to do? Right? So we look at ourselves, we look at our inward being, we look at our inward thoughts. Like he said, Barak are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness. For Barak are they shall be filled. Barak are the meek. Barak are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.